Yeah, so I thought this was kind of interesting because I do see a lot of conspiracy theories on mainly on social media because that's the only place where these people have a voice.
I love it.
It's always interesting to me how people can think a certain way that's very, very much out of the box. And sometimes I just wonder how they can, why are they so far down this path?
The conspiracy theorists.
That everything has to be a conspiracy or everything has to have some sort of evil or, manipulated type of basis.
It's very enticing though to think that. It's very black and white to think that, as opposed to checking things out in a gray area.
Yeah,
like I say a lot. I mean, typically people want to attach labels to things. Typically, also they want to be right. So there's always a need for an us versus them.
Yeah,
and who's legit running the country right now? The government. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to point the fingers like, hey, the government's doing something weird, right? It's out of your control. People don't try to look for the actual source of the news. Like there's no fact checkers, like as we were mentioning before.
And they're obviously going to question the fact checkers as well.
I'm no better. I was in it for quite a while.
Deep into it.
Hollow Earth. No good. Don't go there. It's a rabbit hole.
So then here it does say that percentage of US adults who have heard a lot about the conspiracy theory that powerful people intentionally planned this coronavirus pandemic, the highest percentage is social media users.
Consumers.
Okay.
What do you rope as social media? Do you reckon YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or that jazz?
I would probably just keep. When I think social media, I think straight away Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
But obviously, you can throw in Instagram. You can probably throw in YouTube. Anything that is, I guess, not funded by some sort of government or I don't know. It's hard to tell. The line's a bit blurred nowadays because a lot of news are on social media as well. They have their own social media accounts.
That's the thing. Like, how do you tell what's true these days? I mean, you just have the Pentagon coming out saying, "Hey guys, we just found some alien crafts." Yeah. So that makes me think, oh man, here we go.
Here we go. And,
oh my God.
Yeah. So this is just a sort of an interesting article, and it does kind of it aligns with what I thought the study would, like the results.
So you actually had an inkling of this kind of
because when you think about like the biggest conspiracy theorists and the source of those theories, most of the time when you've heard about them, they are from social media, right?
Yeah. So sorry. What's this last one here that you got? Americans who get the most news on social media are less likely to be following the most national level news topics about the coronavirus.
So if we look at each piece of news, each piece of news, the economic impacts of the outbreak, only 31% of social media users are following this particular news. So when we talk about the ability of hospital across the country to treat patients, 21% of social media users actually are across this topic.
Right. It
just shows that most social media users aren't really across these sort of national level headlines.
It's the thing is, it's so black and white. It's like labeling people like, are you a social media user? Shit.
Well, yeah. I think this is more just saying that if you are primarily getting your news from social media, then you're probably in that bucket.
Yeah.
So what I would say is certainly don't solely use social media as your source of news.
Where do you get your news source?
Funny enough, for sort of news that I don't really care about or things that not so much I don't care about, but the authenticity of it is, and the variance of the authenticity is not a huge deal to me. So,
So you
So
just want to
social
get
media.
you just want to get the general gist.
the
of
general
the-
gist,
of it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So if I want
Oh.
details, I do look into I do a Google search.
Yeah.
I'll-
I mean,
I'll-
I do have to rely on you with these graphs,
Mm.
right? I mean, this study is like, if you leave this up to me, I'll be like, aliens, NASA, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, no, I think with me, it's like, you know how I read the 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss, right?
yes,
He states that you should avoid news at all cost and only consume news or daily events or worldly events through people who actually, consumes this stuff. So you get just an inkling of it, not too
Yeah.
much, just enough so that you
the
can talk
problem is
about it.
who those people are.
Well, obviously, I consider my group of friends quite knowledgeable in terms of
But that's very
general
subjective,
knowledge.
right?
It is, but like,
What if your group of friends are quite, tinfoil hats, a lot into that, but you don't recognize that.
this is why you should watch the Netflix documentary about flat earthers. It's the best. Oh,
So
gosh.
certainly, look for the true source of truth.
Yeah.
Don't just take everything.
It's so
as,
subjective. It's just so hard like these days. I just try not to consume that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I only consume things that I'm like really interested about, that really would improve my quality of life, as opposed to doom and gloom that you see across media in general. So yeah. By the way, sick RGB, man. Are you a gamer now?
No, I've never been a real gamer, but
I'm liking this like tall light things that's happening around.
makes it look like
back
you're
of me.
glowing.
I like it. Should have one behind you too.
We'll figure it out next week.
The studio's like bumping up and leveling up.
We just need those light bars.
Yeah.
And we'll look like any other YouTube show.
Yeah. So I recently started F45. Still
Yeah.
in a trial period. I'm dying.
Mm.
It's hard.
Also
You-
expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Obviously, like you're not the target audience. You don't want to spend for it. It's quite expensive. Like
Yeah.
Abby and I were doing this challenge, this 45-day challenge. We recently paid for it. It's like $500 per person. But what did Tim Ferriss say? Invest in your in yourself,
Yeah, that's
in your health. So I'm
Can't
doing
argue
that.
with
Like,
that,
I
yeah.
mean, once you put a monetary value in it, it's kind of hard not to do it, right?
yeah, unless you're so lazy that it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people who start at the gyms, but
Yeah.
they never go.
You know how he talks about like outsourcing everything, Tim Ferriss? It's kind of cool, like how I think about the F45, right? So you're legit outsourcing all your workout to someone else. All you have to do is show up and follow what they tell you to follow. And you come out feeling pretty good about yourself, feeling good because you just did a workout. I like that aspect. The other aspect is I don't like being told what to do, but hey, here we are.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it is like there's YouTube workouts.
Yeah, but like,
Which is-
how committed are you but following a YouTube workout every single day?
Yeah, so you're basically paying, so then you are financially obligated to go somewhere, and
Exactly.
and you're paying somebody to shout at you or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
No, they don't actually shout at you. They're quite positive.
Okay.
They are quite positive. I do like.
Hmm.
So 45 days later, I'll have some abs. And by the way, Ron and I are starting a no sugar month again. We did this
From
early.
1 September.
No, from next Monday.
Okay.
Let's do it from next Monday because that's when my
Okay.
challenge starts.
Yeah, let's do it. Next Monday would be the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Join us, people. No sugar for 30 days. It's good for
30 days.
And
no
don't
sugar.
cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. There's a lot of things that have sugar in it. Sauces. Does it?
Well, beers have sugars in it.
There's like 0.3 grams in here.
I'm staying away from beers. Well, wine's okay, right? I don't think there's.
There's water there. Have a look at the ingredients, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe no sweet wines.
Yeah.
I did just order 6 Moscatos. So
I don't like Moscato.
it's very sweet. Anyway, the next little segment we have is really looking at a specific quote which I saw and I thought is quite descriptive, and I feel like it relates to where we are.
Okay.
And that quote is, "Slow motion is better than no motion."
I like that.
Yeah.
Slow motion is better than no motion. It's basically just telling you to start.
Start.
Like just small or large, just start.
And the other thing that I took from it is that even though you started on something, but you don't see crazy progress, you don't see the numbers, you don't see the fanfare, it's doesn't mean it's nothing. And slow motion is better than no motion. And when you showed me this morning, that's the little, what do you call it, a little screenshot of our YouTube page.
How good does it look?
Videos.
How good does it look?
And you're saying like, this is ours. Nobody can take that away from us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, we don't have the crazy views.
No.
But hey, we're much further than where we were 6 months ago.
I'm still keen on like getting other people on. Like, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like we spoke previously. Yeah, some of these people have millions and millions of followers. They've taken 10 years to reach a particular point of having these millions of followers. It didn't happen on year 1. It probably didn't happen on year 2. It probably happened on in year 5, right? So you don't see the incremental changes. What is I went to
because you don't hear about them until they get to the millions.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. They're just grinding at it and just keeping things consistent. Now, I went to Fujifilm for a training in regards to camera. Their philosophy, and I really do like this. When you think about cameras, what do you think in your head? Just give me a brand name.
Sony, Canon.
Exactly. So all the major big brands, Nikon, Sony, Canon. You don't really hear about Fujifilm a lot, right? Or Fuji. Now, their philosophy, and I quite like this. It's called Kenzai. Kenzai. We'll stick an article in the show notes as well. But Kenzai is the art of perpetual improvement. Right? It's not like for them, it's not about releasing like a major update or major new product every single year. It's more about doing little things to improve the current product. Now, it's interesting because the people that actually buy from Fuji know what they're going to get from Fuji. You don't hear about them very much. Whereas like Canon fanboys, Nikon fanboys, Sony fanboys, they're all like raving around like with their cameras and whatnot. I'm a Sony fanboy, right, guys? But hey, that's beside the point. So my point is like the act of perpetual improvement is outweighs everything, right? And it's what you're seeing with us with like incremental changes. We just got these new stands, just easier for us to set up quicker. We just started the YouTube channel. We're releasing every single week, right? So
got new lights in the back. That's
making me look like a gamer now. Yeah,
slow motion is better than no motion.
Exactly, man. So, I do like that. Slow motion is better than no motion.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, when you're starting your F45 thing next week.
Yeah.
In the first week, you don't see crazy progress. It doesn't mean that you're not making progress.
I'm dying right now, literally. It's so hard. Like, I mean, you know how we do jits. You know how we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for those who don't know what jits is. You think like you have crazy cardio. You think, you can like hang on and whatnot.
I never do.
Bruh, F45 is like next level kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good for training and whatnot. It's just keeping things consistent. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's more like about explosiveness.
I guess it depends on your style.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to talk about today is on the topic of risks. I think our audience knows my stance on risk. They know your stance on risk. But obviously, our stance have sort of evolved over time as well. But this is sort of an interesting little question that I wanted to ask. What does it mean to actually take quote unquote risks in the business world? Do these risks include maybe making yourself a debt slave? So going so far into debt in order to take that risk, in order to build something? Or does it mean that you're going to take the risk of putting money into something and the business might fail and you have to start it all over again from scratch? So you put in all that time, all that effort, blood, sweat, and tears, only to start again. So I think there certainly is a big difference in both approaches, and there's a big difference in how you see risk when you take it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess my question to you in regards to this question. So just to recap, the question is, what does it mean to actually take risk in the business world? I want to take business world out of here, out of the whole equation here. I just want to see your stance on actual risk. What is your reaction when you see risk, and what does risk look like to you?
Well, right away when you say risk, I'm like, don't like it.
Just straight away.
Just don't like it. You don't have to tell me what it is, how much risk, what I'm risking. Yeah. I don't like it. And obviously once you tell me, then I can sort of weigh it a little bit, but right away, don't like risk.
It's like what Tim Ferriss says. I now quote him a lot in this episode because I think
you quote him often.
I do like the guy. I mean, like, that's one of my favorite books. I've just recently given the book away again, and I just bought 2 extra copies. Anyone who's got an inkling of trying to get better in life, I'll give them this book straight away. Right. So he says, risk. What is risk? He describes the notion of fear setting. I think we discussed this in one of our other podcasts. I'm not sure if that's going to come out, but like his idea is like, really think how bad things can get. Now, once you put it out there, you've written it down, you've taken it out of your mind, you analyze it, you're like, okay, cool. Now, if I do it, if it doesn't get to this scenario where it gets as bad as it's going to get, then you know that it's going to be okay. Risk is not that bad. It then becomes about managing the risk as opposed to thinking about jumping into the deep end straight away.
Yeah. So I think for me, the concept of risk is scarier than the actual risk itself. Usually,
it's a muscle. I think it's a muscle, man. It's a brain muscle here in this respect, right?
Like risk taking.
Yeah, risk taking. Like, it's like, for example, I think I'm going to take something that's more relatable to you. Interviews. Job interviews, because you've never done a business in your life. So the hardest thing, like the most scariest thing to you is like, hey, can I go in front of this panel of 2-3 people and sell myself? That's a big sort of personal risk for you, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, how does that make you feel? Do you still think that it's a risk?
I think, in a way, because even though I haven't got the job, I feel like I'm risking getting that job.
Right.
When I'm walking in there, like in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a job that I want. If I do shit, then I lost it. So that's always sort of in the back of my mind. And, that's like you said, it's taking risk is a muscle. There's the example that I see is, problem gamblers. They got no problem taking risk. They got no problem, chucking in $1,000 to the pokies.
I don't know if it's a good example.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not taking smart risks. They're not taking calculated risks, but they're taking risks, and they're so comfortable with doing it that, putting in.
It's definitely scary to see someone like gamble thousands of dollars straight away.
Whereas I walk past like the pokies. I don't really want to like put in a $5.
Man, I went. The last time I gambled was in Crown Casino in Melbourne, and I think I played pre-COVID. By the way, this was a couple of years ago. I don't gamble. It's not in my DNA to gamble. I just hate putting money into something that's sort of really uncertain. It's like ultimate uncertainty, and you know what they say, the house always wins, right? But point is, put in $50, won to 80, lost it all. So from then on,
280, you won 280.
No, I felt like I put in, I think $50.
Yeah.
Then I think I doubled my money.
Yeah.
It's $100 or something like that. And now I'm like, I keep playing, so I lost everything. But from then on, I was like, I'm not touching this at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, point is, like, why is it so easy for them to do it? Why is this perception of risk to us, to them, it's just like, hey, it's just a Tuesday for them.
In the same way, that's why I wanted to ask you about taking the business risk that you've taken. Is it each time was it easy? Each time you've invested in, say, the markets, you've invested in the farm, you invested in this venture that you've got going on.
Mm-hmm.
Each time there's some sort of investment into something that is sort of a little bit, quite a bit outside of your comfort zone, right? The farm is something you have no experience in. Markets you didn't really have experience in. You dabbled, and it just seems like you've taken the risk and you've invested into it, but it just seems easy. I'm comfortable
being in debt. Like I said before, I have been in debt, and I've just recently got out of it. So this whole thing is new to me, and like we said before, I think we talked about this when we talked to Eric Manalo in one of our previous episodes, right? He says that, what does it say? He says that it's going to be okay, it's going to be all right, or something like that. But point is, you've done it so often. Like maybe the first time was like, oh shit, like my life is going to shit. I'm going in debt. I can never get out of it, sort of thing. And then you realize you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, everything's still here. You still got a family. You still got a job. You can still pick up another job if you want to. So really, if it's not a matter of life and death, like I know it's pretty extreme, but if it's not like a matter of life and death, then I think things are going to be okay.
What about livelihood?
What's livelihood?
So
I mean, in your description here,
I guess a roof over your head, food on the table.
Okay. There's places where you can rent for $200, $300, right? You can make $200-$300 here in Australia working 1 day a week. We have a pretty good welfare system that's paying out pretty good money for people right now, having the coronavirus grant or something like that, right? Job seeker and whatnot. That pays about $600 every fortnight. That's $300 every single week. Now you're gonna tell me that you can't get a roof over your head just with that amount? I don't know, man.
So then the two risks that I listed out here is the risk that you build something that fails and you got to start over. Yeah, that risk you're not really scared of at all.
No, I am not. Like, yes, I have invested quite a bit of money into things. Like my first venture, my first real venture when I was doing the farm, I tried to branch off from my dad and do this flower farm thing. Put a bit of money in it, a couple of $1,000, never went anywhere.
Yeah,
but the company that I have, I've opened since then, is still operating now.
Yeah.
But we've managed to pivot to different projects ever since. We still haven't found something that's clicking, but like the money is still coming in from all these different projects, right?
Yeah. So in a way for me, that risk is not massive, but it still scares me a lot that I would start something, put, not crazy money in, but put money in, put effort in, and it fails and I got to start again, or it goes down to zero. That already turns me off starting something.
Yeah. Well, I think that scares most people.
But then what about the other risk? The one that's you've got a great opportunity here, amazing opportunity, but it's going to cost you $100,000 that you're going to have to sign away.
What's the opportunity?
It's an opportunity that you love. You like it.
It's $100,000. Like I want to know.
Hundreds of thousands.
Well, if you want to tell me that something's great, like I need to know what's going on.
Let's just say you've looked into it. Let's just say you've it's something that you want to do, and but you also know the risks.
Okay, so this risk,
and if it fails, you're in debt for life.
So this investment that you're proposing right now is going to cost me $100,000. All right.
Let's say it's going to put you in debt for life, essentially.
For life.
For a very long time, say 30 years.
That's
like a mortgage.
You're putting it to the extreme. Like I almost feel like you're looking for parameters to make as hard as possible.
Well, no, but the question is like, that's for risk. That's in a lot of scenarios, opening a business costs a lot of money.
No, wrong.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about, let's say you're talking about opening a cafe.
Sure.
Opening cafe, running some sort of brick and mortar store that you got to do up. That costs a lot of money. Right? If we're talking about starting any sort of business, okay, it can be cheap. But we're talking about something that requires a location, a brick and mortar place, and
now
a lot of money.
The thing is, like, if you've already thought about like opening a cafe, you've already got some experience in it. Okay, no, let's take it back to Daniel Kajadi's episode, Benson Cafe, right? He didn't start just like that.
No,
he took like 10 years. Remember, that's what he said. It's just an inkling of a thought that he had. It's an intent. Now he's got a background in F&B. He's got people around him that have also done cafes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he's also got investors that are willing to put into it, right? You don't just come across those people.
No,
at all. You have to come across those people because you have some of the same interest as them.
Yeah.
Right. That's the only way you're going to be able to get into that world. So you can't just open a cafe. You can't just be like, hey, from one day working to 9 to 5, like this is all I've known. And hey, I just want to jump ship and open a cafe. No, it doesn't work like that. Now for you, for example, like you worked in the financial sector for quite a while, right? You're more likely to become a financial consultant than opening a cafe, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So you got the connection, you know people.
Yeah.
So again, like it's not about, there's an opportunity for $400,000. It's more like, okay, you have the intent to open the business up first.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity will come up, and then you see the value that you're gonna get from this business venture, which would justify putting the $100,000 out.
You can justify it, but then you're still taking the risk.
Of course. But you knowing the industry mitigates that risk already.
Some of it.
But like you're never gonna. What's that?
It's pretty high. It's like what, 90, 80%, 90%. So then the question really is,
I'm curious as to see the sample size of that, and also like how they came across that
Yeah.
And like, are they solely looking for businesses that fails? So that brings me like, how.
So I guess they're looking at
what's what's a successful business, and what's a business that's failed? Is it a business that ran out of money? Is there a business that's not meeting its target but still?
I think the easiest way to find those stats is really just to look at how many businesses are registered to open and how many stop running or declare bankruptcy because they can't run anymore.
I'm curious to see that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't answer that question. I'm just relying on my own experiences here.
But then, when we talk about starting businesses, we're talking about businesses where you got to invest. That's what I'm talking about here. Because we're talking about businesses where you don't have to invest crazy money, then that's not really a huge risk, is it?
Yeah.
Like, let's say we're starting a website to sell shirts. What's the overhead on that? Some shirts, some design, some website hosting.
Ask Mr. Koya.
Ask Mr. Koya. Yeah. Episode 19, 15. I don't know.
It's there somewhere.
Is there somewhere?
We've got like 34 episodes out already.
Yeah,
so I mean, look, the funny thing that you mentioned, we're dropping names on this episode is because we've got experience in talking to all these people as well.
Yeah.
So we sort of understand what's going on. Now, opening a t-shirt business, like, well, you're going to dismiss that it's not a business?
No, I'm saying it is a business, but the startup is very, very low.
Sure.
Whereas we're talking about opportunities here, because the question here specifically is that this is a risk where you could be in debt for a long time.
What's the reward?
The reward is that you could make millions of dollars. A very successful business, whatever success means to you.
You could, or you have a high percentage of making that money.
But when we talk about business, if it's a high percentage, it's a no-brainer.
Sure.
Right. But how many businesses are no-brainers?
But like, why would you invest into something that has no return?
No. So obviously the potential return, but potential return is different to likelihood of return.
Okay.
So potential is like how much you can make. The likelihood is, can you actually make it? So if something can make you millions of dollars, but you got to invest 100 grand, that's the risk that you're going to take. You could be in debt for a very long time, or you can make millions of dollars.
But like, then if you're scared of that amount of risk, then obviously it's easier for you to open or invest into a small business.
So then, obviously we're not talking about an actual opportunity for you. But if an opportunity did come your way where you have to put away $100,000 that's obviously a pretty major decision. And I think for me right away, I don't really care what the opportunity is.
No.
I'm like 100 grand. I'm like, that's a little bit too much. A little bit too much a little bit too rich for me.
Yeah. Look, honestly, if it's something that aligns with me, I've also done my research and I know what the industry looks like, then 100 grand won't be anything for me.
Oh, shit.
Right. I mean,
obviously we're not talking about 100 grand to make 20 grand.
No, of course not.
Millions.
Like, if I'm going to put 100 grand into it, I want to see a 50% return at least on top of that, right? I want to see 50K in a span of like a year or two, right? So, I'll make my money work for me. But yeah, like I think the question is quite broad, like where you're looking at, like the way you look at risk and how to invest in business is quite broad. Like I think you need to define a sort of starting point.
Okay.
All right. So that starting point, like I mentioned before, is like, what do you know about this industry? What do you know about this business? Who are you investing in?
Yeah. I mean, this question I think is intentionally broad.
It's
intentionally vague.
It's easy to have a discussion about it.
It's more just your mindset on how you view risk.
Yeah. Look, in the grand scheme of things, compared to, say, for example, my dad and my brother, I am quite risk averse compared to them. Right. Now, my brother says something pretty interesting. Like once you're a business owner, it's no longer about like whether you can make like millions of dollars in like in like a year sort of thing. It's like more of you look for little things to change to get higher value on your business. There's little things you can tweak in the business, little things you can pivot. It becomes like that, And
I'm sure part of his interest in running his own business is that he has full control of those little things.
Yeah.
And, he can do something, doesn't work, let's go do something else.
You know what feeling I hate?
What?
When I work for someone, I hate worrying about fucking things up for them. I hate that. I really do. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel unconfident about myself. It really does. So, for example, here when we're doing the Escape Rope podcast, it's not like I'm working for you. Like I still have the inkling of I don't want to fuck things up for Ron. Like or for us, but I think about you here because you're a partner in this venture that we're doing, right? It could lead somewhere, it could not. We're investing our time in it. Like time is money. I'm putting like an hour here. I'm here for at least 2-3 hours every single week. And then I go home and I work on the podcast. That takes me another 4 hours, 4-5 hours to work on the podcast. That's like almost half a day already working on the podcast. So if you tell me that I'm not investing in it, then no, you're wrong. But anyways, point is, there is that feeling of I'm scared of fucking things up because I have someone that I need to think about when I do things.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of worse when I'm working for somebody because they have direct authority over me. I can't do it. I hate it. It so much.
I think people who work the 9 to 5 and are used to working under people, they're sort of, I wouldn't say they are comfortable with it, but it's just part of the job, right?
It's so weird. Like when funny that you mentioned that. It's so weird to me when I hear, working from home, I need to see people.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you know about? Yeah. You have complete freedom. You have complete control of over your life in this day of yours. It's the best. It should be the best thing ever.
I think. Yeah. I mean, that's probably another episode.
Yeah.
But
anyways, like that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Let's call it.
Yeah, I think I'm done. Done with the rant. It was really good. Hey guys, you've been listening to the Escape Rope podcast. My name is Fung. This is Ron. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, the Escape Rope podcast. Now, if you guys want to hit us up, check out Facebook out. Check out YouTube, by the way. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, and also leave a comment. I want to see a comment. Where are you pointing at?
Is a button there?
Well, look at the screen.
Oh. Is it in the middle or like
it's here?
Oh, is it wherever you want to put it?
Yeah, like
okay.
right here.
Oh, it's always up here.
Did you see the last one where I put the guy in the middle, like when you were like this?
Yeah, I saw that. There we go. That was good.
Anyways, guys, you have anything else to add, man?
So support. The easiest way to support us is just leaving likes, leaving comments, views. It doesn't really cost you anything, just a little bit of your time. But if you do want to, help us financially, there's always Patreon. There's nothing there yet, but we'll figure that out.
We'll have some perpetual improvement, right?
Perpetual motion. Also, slow motion is better than no motion. So we're getting there. We are slowly getting to whatever that content is.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and joining us for this weekly episode of ours. Peace.
See ya.